I think he's confused.
He decided to take a break.
I
He
know.
was now enjoying life.
Oh, nice.
Fun by the day.
Hey, good morning.
Enjoying life. I don't have
My
any
name is
more.
Emma Schwartz, and I'm the chair of the
I
agency
saw him
operations.
yesterday.
It is 11:10 a.m. and I'd like to call the October 25th Agency Operations Committee meeting to order. Please be aware that this meeting is being broadcast via the internet. And all right, so now we're members, when I call your name, please announce present. Welcome Wilson, Vice Chair.
Present.
Javed Anwar.
Yeah.
Fred Fadias.
Present.
Stacy Hawk. Present. Donna Williams. Present. Paige Sawyer, student member. Here, and myself, Emma Schwartz. Please record in the minutes that you have the floor. Agenda item 2 is approval of the meeting minutes from the July 26, 2023 Agency Operations Committee meeting. Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes? So Ms. Williams, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Anwar, any further discussion? If not, those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. The motion passes. Agenda item 3 is public testimony. We do not have anyone registered to testify today, so we'll go on to the next item. Agenda item 4A is report on grants and contracts. This item does not require any action. Members, the reports were included in supplemental materials with the agenda materials you received prior to the meeting. Mr. Anthony Infantini, Chief Financial Officer, is available if you have any questions. All right, that's pretty easy. Hearing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item. I think you'll come up later.
Yes.
Don't go too far. Agenda item 4B is an update on the agency cybersecurity framework. This item will be heard in closed session later this evening. Agenda item 5A is review the fiscal year 2023 financial report to the board. This item does not require any action. Mr. Anthony Infantini, Chief Financial Officer, will present this item to the committee and be available for your questions.
Morning, I'm Anthony Infantini, Chief Financial Officer, and it's my pleasure to present the financial report to the committee. This report is through August of 2023, which is the conclusion of our 2022 to 23 biennium. In January, we'll begin reporting for our 2024 to 2025 biennium. There's no material changes in this report from before. Most of our budget adjustments that you'll see there are the two main categories that I've mentioned before. One are the year items, which was kind of aligning our federal funding into our state fiscal years, and then across those projects were a suspend. And I want to point out those funds will have some activity in our 2024 report because the federal project period for those projects extended through September. And then the other main categories are unexpended balance review adjustments, which provide authority to move budgets across fiscal years. Those authorities are in our budget riders and usually impact the movement of funds within the biennium. So there'll be limited amount of those adjustments in our 2024 reports when we begin reporting the next quarter. I also want to kind of highlight the launch of CATS Financials. I mentioned it in the last couple of reports, and proud to announce that we were able to successfully launch CATS Financials for the 2024 to 25 biennium in September. It was a very heavy lift across the agency and required significant project management and ISS resources, but I want to especially commend the finance staff that I have. They handled testing and this transition on top of their regular duties, and it would be a big lift in normal times, but given our year activities and a lot of other testing efforts, it was really a big effort for my team, and I'm extremely proud of the work they've done. And we do have continue to work on our financial reporting and process updates, which I'd like to think of as improvement opportunities that are going to result from the system change. But our immediate efforts are focused on our statutory compliance and making sure our time-sensitive payments can be made. Shifting towards the end of the report, I do want to highlight our student loan collection activities for the committee. In fiscal year 2023, our Attorney General default collections again average over $1 million a month. I want to mention that our contract with the Attorney General's office was recently renewed for the 2024 to 25 biennium, and this contributes to the positive cash position of our student loan program. Over $30 million was added to our student loan reserve fund at fiscal year end, which brought that balance to just around $180 million. So with that reserve fund, is comprised of student loan payments that are in excess of our debt service requirements to pay off our bond obligations. So that balance not only strengthens the financial position of our loan program, but also has allowed THECB to offer the forward loan program this past year as an additional way to support students pursuing credentials that are of high value and are in high demand.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom and Anthony. For the new board members and the current board members, the history of that is I was on the board when past board members and past boards made the decision to go with the Attorney General's office when we were actually having a lot of issues internally collecting. So over the year, that was a really good decision to be able to have the Attorney General's office, and it's great to see the results. The other thing you mentioned, the gear funds, Anthony, how are we doing in terms of getting the gear funds out? Are we meeting the obligations? Is there anything left on the table?
There's some we have until the end of this month to get it out. So they're doing this on top of changing the accounting system that's making the payments, which is quite a challenge because there are some obligations that stretch across both systems. But we are on track. I think the last handful, there's only a couple of invoices we have left to fully pay for our September work, which normally takes over 30 days. So we are accelerating all of that. But I was actually working this morning on, and I want to say we're down to just under 5 payments left, and staff is working furiously to get those out the door.
Yeah, so I want to commend the commissioner and the staff over the last few years since the pandemic on the gear fund. Just keeping up with that is a tremendous lift for this agency. And so kudos to all the commissioner and the staff, your team in this particular area, because there's a lot of detail and that entrusted money from the governor's office, the governor and the state. So this agency really says a lot about, what we do and the trust and the responsibility we have as an agency. So thank you to the team, everyone, and Benny, for you and your team and for the show for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I also want to say thank you to Sarah. So just to highlight, when Anthony was talking about is completely overhauling the technology for our financials at the same time that we were trying to get all these payments out and administering these funds. The gear funds are all full. Something like 10 times our operating budget. I mean, so the coordinating board being one of the largest granting agencies for higher education in the United States for a period of time. And to be able to, now we're down to just a few payments to wrap this up, and at the same time to overhaul our systems and our processes. And I did want to highlight also the loan program, because that might fly below the radar screen, but we're extremely strong. This is really exceptional work to be able to manage all of these ambitious initiatives. So deeply appreciative of our finance team and of Sarah's leadership, so that we can actually execute on this vision.
Please, Professor, thank you so much. To you and your team.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
So can you just speak to the university construction?
Yes.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I think that came up just before you started. So that was money. There was a special session 2 years ago in the 2021 session. I think it was Senate 8 and Senate 52, which put provisions in for universities that certain construction projects, which were, if able to use federal funds, were they were supposed to use federal funds, but there was a provision that it was ineligible for some of the emergency funds that the federal government made, that the state general revenue would supplement that. It took some time for that decision to be made as far as what was the funding. So it was, I only was September of this year, which is why it shows up in this report where it became a general revenue appropriation, but it was very, it was very specific in the legislation, which institutions got what and kind of, so we just kind of, in our report, we were basically the conduit as far as that goes.
Right, but it was drilled down as to specific projects and where the shortfall was. And those state components were all lumped together in this. Is that?
Yeah, and a big item, there was one big appropriation, but the payments were very, very specific as to who gets it for what, I guess.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item. Agenda item 6A is discussion on an audit report on the distribution of the National Research University Fund issued in August 2023 by the State Auditor's Office. This item does not require any action. Krista Steele, Project Manager, and Angelica Ramirez, Assistant State Auditor, will present this item and be available to answer your questions.
Good morning. My name is Krista Steele. I'm the project manager for the audit related to the distribution of the National Research University Fund at UTSA. And I'll give you a brief overview of our report as well as a summary of our findings. The objective of this audit was to determine whether UTSA is eligible to receive a distribution from the National Research University Fund based on criteria established in the Texas Education Code and any other applicable requirements. And our audit determined that UTSA did meet the NREP eligibility requirements related to restricted research expenditures by expending at least $45 million in restricted research funds in both fiscal years 2021 and 2022. And they also met the required 4 of the other 6 criteria, which related to the freshman class of high academic achievement, memberships, high quality faculty, and high quality graduate education. We also noted that UTSA fully implemented a prior recommendation addressed to it related to strengthening its process for reporting expenditures. Our audit also determined that the coordinating board certification report was accurate and supported based on the self-reported information that UTSA provided. And additionally, we noted that the coordinating board fully implemented a prior recommendation addressed to it related to its college access loan program. That concludes our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions.
Had a lot of discussion on this. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Just a comment that it's great that UTSA has risen to that level. It's great. Great accomplishment by that institute.
We'll move on to the next agenda item. Agenda item 6B 1 through 4 is the auditor's update on internal audit reports and activities. This item does not require any action. Mr. R.B. Gonzalez, Assistant Commissioner for Internal Audit and Compliance, and Mr. Paul Mayer, Assistant Director for Internal Audit and Compliance, will present this item and are available for your questions. But before we get started, we just want to introduce and welcome R.B. Gonzalez. He joined the coordinating board in August. He came to us from the Texas Department of Insurance, where he served as the Internal Audit Director. Prior to that, he was with the State Auditor's Office and the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. RB is a certified public accountant and a fraud examiner with almost 20 years in government audit, and is also a member of the Board of Governors for the Austin chapter of the Institute of Internal Auditors. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Chair Schwartz, committee members. Good morning. My name is R.B. Gonzalez, and I serve as the Assistant Commissioner for Internal Audit. I'm here to present an update on internal audit reports and activities since our last board meeting. There's no action required for this item. Since July, internal audit completed 4 projects. I'll go through each one of those projects with brief summary. Firstly, we completed a review of the purchasing cart process. With that review, we found some observations that require attention related to reviewing and approving policies and procedures, and also improving risk assessment and management related to P-cards. Management is currently addressing those observations, and in doing so, these do not pose significant reputational or financial risk to us. We also completed a self-assessment of internal audit activities, which is required by our audit standards. We completed a internal audit annual report for fiscal year 23. This is a summary of internal audit activities for the previous fiscal year. It's required by statute, where we submit that information in that report to the governor's office, the state auditor's office, and the legislative budget board. The format and content is dictated by the SAO, so that's the information that you see in that particular report. That's a standard format. We also continue to monitor and review the internal audit corrective action status report, and you see on page 82 of the report. With those projects, we also serve as a liaison for external audit projects and keeping a sheet, just so you know. And we collaborated with management and staff on other agency activities. We have 3 projects in process from our previous audit plan. And I also want to state that as we continue to build and monitor agency risks and manage those risks, we'll work with you and agency management to review the plan to ensure that we are addressing the important risks and getting the projects that we need to best support for the states. Lastly, I want to thank Paul Mayer, the internal audit compliance team, Commissioner Keller, and agency management and staff for the warm welcome and their support. I appreciate all of your attendance and welcoming me into the agency. And I'm excited to work with everyone in the agency and you board members to continue to ensure that we meet our agency's mission. This concludes my remarks, and I'm available for questions.
Members, do you have any questions? Hearing none, we will move on to the next item. Agenda item 7A, 1 through 15 are the auditor's updates on state and federal compliance monitoring reports and activities. These items do not require any action. Mr. R.B. Gonzalez, Assistant Commissioner for Internal Audit and Compliance, and Mr. Paul Mayer, Assistant Director, Internal Audit and Compliance, will present this item and are available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chair Schwartz. Good morning, committee members. We completed 14 state compliance monitoring projects and a corrective action status report since our prior AOC meeting in July. And each of these reports is included in your materials. First of all, I'd like to thank our compliance monitoring team for their hard work and diligence in the time of transition for completing these projects. I'm personally very appreciative of their effort and commitment to their work. Next, I'd like to highlight the last 2 of these reports that both include recommendations. First, the audit of tuition equalization grant at Southwestern Christian College. This project resulted in 3 recommendations related to information technology controls, inaccurate reporting of student information, and non-compliance with tuition equalization grant eligibility requirements. Second is the audit of tuition equalization grant at Paul Quinn College. For this project, there was 1 recommendation that related to misreporting of student information. Management for both of these institutions are addressing the noted issues. Next, with regard to federal compliance monitoring, I'd like to note that we completed a review of FY22 single audit reviews and our FY21 Perkins subrecipient monitoring reviews. In the last quarter, we were able to hire additional federal subrecipient monitoring staff and expected to continue to make progress on the backlog of Perkins subrecipient work, in addition to continuing to review the significant amount of GEAR funds and other federal funds that are passed through by the coordinating board to grant recipients in the last 2 years. And that concludes my compliance monitoring update. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Question again on a review for the newer board members, Mr. Mayor, on the selection of which compliance monitoring, how it's selected.
Sure. We do a risk assessment each year for the compliance monitoring area, and we look at not only size, but also the last time we've been to a lot of these institutions. Typically, that is the driver when we end up going back is when was the last time we were there. Currently, we combine both compliance monitoring for the financial aid area and the permanent funding area. Getting back these institutions on each of those individual areas about once every 10 years. A little more often, back the same institution on a different day. That's how we do it.
And then the question, I think, as Mr. Gonzalez is joining us again, congratulations and welcome officially. So how is the department, I know Mr. Gonzalez is settling in, as far as enough folks for the audit area? Do you feel comfortable? I mean, of course, there's always room for growth, right? Help.
Absolutely. Right now, I've been with the agency for about 6 weeks and we're reviewing our process and making sure we're doing things as best we can and as quickly as we can, while still maintaining the quality that the agency needs and that's required for key standards. What we can do is with the resources that we have, we do what we can to address the risks that we can. We're going to have the resources that we have. And what that means is we need to be sure that our risk assessment process, making sure that we're addressing the important risks of the agency, the important risks that directly impact our agency's mission. And then from there, we will prioritize things that are highest risk and most visible, most high profile.
That was your chance. That was your chance to say I need more people. You missed.
But I also understand that, we work with our agency management staff and make sure that we do what we can for the agency.
Well, either people or technology.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Well, speaking of risk, we will now take up item 4B, the update on agency cybersecurity framework. The committee will meet in a closed meeting to deliberate the following matters. Pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.076, the committee will meet in closed session to review an update on the agency cybersecurity framework. No other business of the committee will be discussed before we reconvene in open session. It is now 11:31 a.m. and we will convene in executive session. Board members will now move to room number 2.006 for the closed meeting.
Oh,
You know, have you been to Vietnam?
Not in a while. My dad's in Alberta, so.
Yeah, don't get it.
Yes, I want to see the menus. The menus. Welcome to.
Ready, wait, you all.
No, that's all right.
Okay, we have our quorum back, so. It is now 12:14 PM. The executive session has concluded and no action was taken during the executive session. The time is 12:14 and the committee is now reconvened in open session and the quorum is present. This concludes the Agency Operations Committee meeting. The time is 12:14 still. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
By welcome, Ms. Hawk, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. And we're done today. Thank you.
Tell everybody, don't forget about the.
So